Hi everyone, and welcome to the Managerial Accounting course project. In this particular video, we're going to cover the Week 1 financials. I want you to focus on the process that we're going to walk through versus the absolute numbers. The numbers that you see here on the screen may be different than what's in your project. If they're the same, then great, but if they're different, don't worry about it. As I mentioned in the overview video, this particular tab is 8 points. You have your scenario here that sets out why you're even performing these calculations. And then you're provided information regarding the balance sheet and the income statement for the New York bakery. In this area, you're asked to perform the following calculations and to show your work. All of this information is in the textbook, but if you wanted to make this just a tiny bit easier for you, I'm going to go over to Canvas, and I've clicked on the Modules tab. I'm going to go down to Week 1, and on the Week 1 Chapter 14 Financial Statement Analysis page, at the very bottom, I mentioned that I don't want you to focus too narrowly on memorizing the formulas. I really want you to focus on understanding how to interpret these analyses. So if you click here, there is a one-page, what I call cheat sheet. And I'm going to drag that over so you can see what it looks like. It provides all of the analysis, all of the financial statement analyses that we're going to cover. This is also in the textbook. And all of this information is something that you're going to incorporate in this particular tab. What we're going to work on, though, is the working capital. So I'm going to go back over to the workbook, and it does ask me to perform the calculations for working capital. I'm actually going to delete this so that we can do it together. There we go. So this is asking me to provide the formula for working capital. And if we went back, it says that the working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So I'm simply going to write that in here. Working capital equals current assets minus current liabilities. And then I have to pull in all of that information. So where would I find this information? We can come up here, check the income statement. Nope, no current assets, no current liabilities. So I'm going to scroll over, and we can see that we've got our current assets here. I'm just going to highlight this. And we have our current liabilities right here. So now I'm just going to write this in. Our working capital equals the 510,051.09 minus the 225,879.41. All right, so we've got the first column completed. Now we need to perform the calculation and get the answer, right? You can do this calculation in a calculator if that's where you feel more comfortable, or you can actually get the Excel workbook to do the work for you. So I am going to have Excel perform the calculation for me, and I'm going to start it with just pressing equals, which tells the workbook that I want it to perform a particular calculation. I'm going to come over here to my 510, and I'm just going to click on it. And you'll see that in this box it says D13, and that's the cell that I chose. And I want to subtract my current liabilities. So now I'm just going to click on that one. And again, if you come over to the answer, you'll see that I picked up D29. And now from here, I'm just going to hit the enter button. That gives me my answer. If you wanted to double check those numbers, go ahead and pull out your calculator, double check to make sure that answer is correct. So I finished my first two columns. Now I'm going to go into the type of analysis. What type of analysis is this? I'm going to go back over to my cheat sheet, and it tells me that my type of analysis is a liquidity analysis. So I'm going to come over here, liquidity, and then what does this tell us? This tells us that it measures the company's ability to pay current liabilities. And that's all I'm going to write in here. Or let me just say it like this. Tells us how well the company can cover its liabilities. All right. That is all that's required for each one of these calculations, and you have 8. So work through each one of these. Up here, I actually got Excel to do the work for me, and I did what's called referencing cells. So when I reference cells, and I'm pulling it down so that you can see these two, when I reference cells, then I can actually see them when I activate the cell. When you turn your project in and you've chosen to activate the cell, or I'm sorry, you've chosen to reference cells, then it's very easy for me to go through and determine, what went wrong if your answer is incorrect. So let's say that you were super busy or somebody had distracted you at the very end, right as you were doing your answer, and you said equals the 510, and then someone distracted you and you for some reason picked up the 745. Well, when I see that, it's going to be wrong. If you reference cells in your submission, then when I download your workbook, I can open this up and find out what went wrong. I might not deduct full points for this incorrect answer, because if I can see that you just missed the cell a little bit, I'll give you partial credit. So there is value in referencing your cells. If you don't feel comfortable referencing cells yet, no worries. I do try to figure out what causes some of the disconnects in your answers, but if I can't determine it relatively quickly, you may see that you have the deduction is 100% of the deduction. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.